Love is a beautiful thing everyone wants to experience at least in a lifetime. It is one of the most beautiful gifts God ever gave to mankind, giving us the ability to love and be loved. It is a gift so powerful that God made it possible for it to be shared in the union of two people. But even with this being God's gift, what makes relationships crumble? Let's begin. Number 1. Ungodly foundations. There is nothing that destroys a marriage much more than a marriage with a bad foundation. The beginning of your relationship will play a vital role in how it runs in the long run, with many couples finding themselves in relationships that are bound to fail from the beginning. It is no doubt that it ends up crumbling. In order for there to be a perfect union, God, who is the owner of love, has to be involved in your relationship or marriage. Where there is no God, there is no love. And where there is no love, there is no peace. It doesn't matter how you try to give the impression that your relationship is great. Without God in it, it is just a matter of time before your relationship comes crashing down. Number 2, prayerlessness. Many couples don't realize that the devil seeks to destroy everything God puts together. This includes your marriage and your relationship. Without constantly praying for your partner or your relationship, that relationship will lack enough power to pull through circumstances. This is why the book of Ephesians chapter 6, beginning at verse 11, tells us, "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." This is because Paul understood the devil will always attack you daily, whether you are aware of it or not. It isn't just enough to pray for yourself. You are one body and one soul. When you neglect to pray for your spouse, the enemy will find it easier to step in. He can step in through various means, such as attacking your spouse's finances or doing things to cause misunderstanding in your relationship. He could attack by making your spouse misunderstand you all the time. He could even try to manipulate your spouse into having an affair. All these are the effects of not praying for your spouse. When we say prayer, we mean an earnest prayer, and not just a casual one. The more you pray, the more powerful your marriage is likely to be. Number 3, not being spiritually faithful to God. Most times couples expect their marriages to be perfect when they themselves aren't privately faithful to God. What makes a marriage last long is the existence of the fruit of the Spirit in that marriage. In order to bear those fruits, each party has to be independently faithful to God. Both spouses' joy in the marriage depends on the fruit of the Spirit radiating from the other party. If your spouse has no fear of God, it will be impossible for them to fear and honor you. This means your marriage will starve of the love of God and therefore die. Never expect your spouse to give you their best if they don't fear God in the first place. This is why the Bible advises against being unequally yoked together with unbelievers. This is because without a godly mentor, which in this case is God, your spouse will not give you the full love needed in your marriage. They cannot give what they don't have. Without God, they will not have enough love to give you. Number 4, taking your problems to men instead of God. During times of crisis, we are often told to share our problems with others. Though this can help, it isn't always a good idea. Man can only provide relief to a certain extent, but cannot solve that which God hasn't solved. Whenever there is a challenge in your relationship, don't talk to others about it before you've spoken to God. Not everyone who hears you out is really interested in your problems. Some listen to you so that they can have enough stories to tell others. The more you expose problems or challenges in your marriage to others, the more likely it is for your marriage to fail. Whenever you have a marital challenge, let God be your first counselor and not man, followed by your spouse. Sometimes you make matters worse by sharing your problems with others who aren't truly interested in helping you. Depending on others to fix your marriage can be compared to the relationship between the fish and water. The fish lives daily in water and totally depends on it for its survival. But when the fish dies, it will be very surprised to learn about the huge role the same water had played in cooking it. This same principle applies when you put your marital life out there for the public to decide on matters involving you and your spouse. Number 5, lack of communication. Communication isn't just about talking. It's also about listening. It means listening to your spouse's concerns, listening to their emotions, understanding why they feel the way they feel. This also means staying quiet when the other partner is voicing out their concerns. Many couples have the habit of assuming they know what the other person is about to say or do. Even if you do know, it's always important to show some respect, at least through your silence. When your spouse is speaking, show some signs of attention. This doesn't make you a weak person. It simply shows how respectful you are. When you don't communicate, your spouse won't know what you are thinking. And if they don't know what you are thinking, there is more likely to be room for wrong assumptions. When there are assumptions, the devil will always make sure he creates storylines in your thoughts which don't exist. All these will bring your marriage down in no time. Number 6, emotional immaturity. One of the reasons many marriages fail the tests of time is due to immaturity, whether spiritually, emotionally, or physically. The absence of immaturity is what leads to pettiness in relationships. Getting irritated at your spouse or kids easily can be a sign you are immature. Always complaining or finding faults can also show just how immature you are. You might assume you are simply being zealous, but no, that's not the case. It's immaturity. Maturity makes you understand that people are human and do make mistakes. This means you should approach the errors of others from a place of understanding and love. It doesn't mean you are excusing their wrongs, but you are simply exercising the patience God demands of everyone. Sometimes God will allow your spouse have a weakness he wants to use you to get rid of. This might be uncomfortable, but it is also part of the assignment God has called you into. Number 7, wrong knowledge about marriage. Not every married person truly knows the intent or the purpose as to why God made marriage. For some, they feel marriage only has to do with taking care of each other. But that is not the true intention as to why God made marriage. If God simply wanted someone to take care of you, He would have kept you as a baby. It demands responsibility and work. Marriage is a calling and an assignment. First, God made Adam and gave him the assignment to dress the garden. He then followed by making Eve and asking her to support her husband in his assignment. Then finally, He gives them a joint assignment to multiply and rule over the earth. This means they both had a joint assignment. When couples don't know the purpose of their marriage, they are bound to get separated over the slightest disagreements. Many couples get disappointed later in marriage because they went in with the wrong expectations. Those who are truly born of God choose spouses based on God's purpose and not based on looks. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell icon.